Xiaotong arrived at Ye Xiaoyu's house early, pulled Ye Xiaoyu into the car, stepped on the gas, and drove towards the company. This infuriated Ye Xiaoyu. Was this secretary, come assistant, rebelling against the heavens? Didn't she know her persona was that of a cold and glamorous female CEO? However, Ye Xiaoyu truly doted on Ye Xiaotong, thinking that Ye Xiaotong would often rush over even in the middle of the night with just a phone call. What was wrong with taking a day off with such a work attitude? No, Xiaotong, who did you hand over my schedule to today? Ye Xiaoyu asked Ye Xiaotong. You don't have any appointments today. I've also rescheduled some meetings, otherwise, do you really think I'd take a day off so casually? Ye Xiaotong said with a smile. So I don't have anything to do today? Ye Xiaoyu asked. That's right, Ye Xiaotong nodded. Then why are you still making me go to the company? I'm not going today either, let's go home and eat breakfast. Ye Xiaoyu was suddenly a bit speechless. Lin Feng had just served a bowl of porridge, thinking that there would probably be extra breakfast today, but the next moment, he saw the door open, and Ye Xiaoyu and Ye Xiaoton came back in. Brother-in-law, is breakfast ready? Ye Xiaotong asked, sitting at the table. It's ready, I'll serve it to you now, Lin Feng said. Weren't you taking your older female cousin to the company? Why are you back? Lin Feng asked curiously. There's nothing going on at the company today, so I'm not going either, Ye Xiaoyu said while drinking millet porridge. Then, as if she remembered something, she took out 2 steamed buns bought from outside, gave one to Lin Feng, and the other to Ye Xiaotong. That's perfect then. After breakfast, older female cousin can come with us to Xiaofen's company to have some fun, Ye Xiaotong said at this moment, eating a steamed bun. Ye Xiaoyu thought for a moment. She didn't have anything to do. She had just sent messages to her sisters in the group and found out that these 3 rascals had reportedly gone to Japan to see cherry blossoms. These 3 rascals. Ye Xiaoyu realized that her leisure life was truly lacking, so she agreed to go with Ye Xiaotong. After finishing breakfast and resting for a while, Lin Feng drove Ye Xiaotong and Ye Xiaoyu to Tianyu Company. I'm going to the recording studio first. You two can go to Xiaofen's office and sit for a bit. After entering the company, Lin Feng smiled at Ye Xiaotong and Ye Xiaoyu. No, what are you doing? This momentum isn't big enough. Yes, make it even bigger, preferably so that everyone in the country knows about it. As soon as they entered Xiaofen's office, they saw Ye Xiaofen leaning back in his chair, his legs on the table, making a phone call very arrogantly. At this moment, his office door opened, and Ye Xiaofen was very displeased. Who was this, so arrogant, not even knocking before entering? However, when he saw Ye Xiaoyu, he heard a thump and he fell off his chair. It's nothing, I just accidentally fell. You remember, this matter must be blown up. How dare they provoke me, Ye Xiaofen? I'll make them regret it. All right, no more talk, I'm hanging up. Ye Xiaofen quickly got up after hanging up the phone, looking at Ye Xiaoyu with a big smile, and said fawningly, older female cousin, why are you here? You didn't even notify your younger brother, so I could pick you up. Oh, are you not going to the company today? You're asking so many questions at once, which one should I answer first? Ye Xiaoyu asked Ye Xiaofen. Whatever makes you happy, Ye Xiaofen said with a smile. Then can I choose not to answer? Ye Xiaoyu said. Of course, you can. Who else but my dearest older female cousin? Ye Xiaofen's flattery reached its peak. I say, younger brother Xiaofan, you have another older female cousin here, why aren't you greeting her? Ye Xiaotong said with a smile. Hello, sister Xiaotong. Ye Xiaofen immediately changed his expression and simply greeted Ye Xiaotong. What were you doing just now? You looked like a street hooligan. Ye Xiaoyu sat down naturally in Ye Xiaofen's seat and asked him. Isn't there something to deal with? Ye Xiaofen said in a low voice. Stand up straight when you talk. Look at yourself, you don't stand properly and you don't sit properly. How can you manage a company like this? Ye Xiaoyu truly seized every opportunity to lecture Ye Xiaotong. Sure enough, at this moment, Ye Xiaotong became more and more energetic as she spoke, finally even making Ye Xiaofen write a 5,000-word self-reflection to hand in tomorrow. Ye Xiaofen was dumbfounded. What the hell was going on now? He had already graduated, so why was there still this self-reflection business? Ye Xiaofen glanced at Ye Xiaotong, meaning, was she always like this at the company? Ye Xiaotong returned Ye Xiaofen a look, meaning, at the company, your older female cousin isn't so long-winded, this is her favoritism towards you. Ye Xiaofen was on the verge of tears, her favoritism is a ghost. He just purely takes pleasure in lecturing me. Oh my God, brother-in-law, when will you completely conquer her? Oh right, you just said something about messing around. Who are you going to mess with? Ye Xiaoyu picked up a bottle of mineral water nearby, took a sip, and continued to ask. Isn't it about that matter? Isn't this about that thing? Ye Xiaoyu said to Ye Xiaoyu, feeling helpless. That thing? Be clear, Ye Xiaoyu said, looking at Ye Xiaoyu with some impatience. Don't you know I hate it most when people speak in riddles to me? Do you remember the bet Lin Feng and Ye Xiaoyu made with Tianyu Company's people before? At the time, both parties agreed that if Lin Feng couldn't write 10 songs within 10 days, he would publicly admit to plagiarism, and Vanishing Stars would have to repay 10 times the profits earned by the song Sunny Day on Cool Cat. However, if Lin Feng could write these 10 songs, then Tianyu Entertainment Company would have to admit that they acted like petty people, envious of Lin Feng, and thus framed him with false rumors, and they would have to compensate Lin Feng the sum of the profits from all 10 songs. As of now, the combined profits from these 10 songs have reached over 400 million, which is an astronomical figure, and among them, blue and white porcelain alone accounted for over 100 million. So Ye Xiaoyu naturally wouldn't give up such a large sum of money. However, a problem was that the two parties only had a verbal agreement at the time and didn't sign a gambling agreement, so it became a bad debt. But even though no gambling agreement was signed, the verbal agreement still stood, and in this day and age, the internet has a memory. Even if he couldn't get the money, Ye Xiaoyu thought he could use this matter to thoroughly discuss Tianyu Entertainment Company and make its already tarnished reputation even worse. So Ye Xiaoyu contacted some gossip companies to expose the matter once again. It wasn't just Ye Xiaoyu. On the other side, Qin Tian in the capital also contacted many gossip media companies to further expose this matter, and both of them even bought many trending topics and hot searches to fully publicize it. Ye Xiaoyu even hired many people daily to hold banners outside Tianyu Entertainment Company's building, demanding that Tianyu Entertainment Company return the money. And now, Wang Dong and others' social media feeds are all uniformly filled with "Are you convinced?" Meanwhile, Tianyu Entertainment Company's official social media feeds are all uniformly filled with the two words "return money." Although Tianyu Entertainment Company unilaterally announced that this matter was Wang Dong's personal promise and had no relation to Tianyu Entertainment Company, and even removed Wang Dong from his position as deputy manager in an attempt to quell the storm, to distance itself from the issue. But Ye Xiaoyu naturally wouldn't let it go at that. Just now, he even arranged for people to further escalate this matter to further tarnish Tianyu Entertainment Company's reputation. Well done. Showing mercy to an enemy is cruelty to oneself. Ye Xiaoyu nodded, telling Ye Xiaoyu to go all out, and that she would cover him for any trouble he stirred up. This made Ye Xiaoyu even more reckless. With such a towering tree behind him, what was he afraid of? After waiting a while in Ye Xiaoyu's office, Lin Feng called to say that Zhang Xiayan had arrived and asked Ye Xiaoyu to pick her up. You must be CEO Yi. I'm truly bothering you all. Not only are you recording for me for free, but you also personally came down to pick me up. I'm truly very ashamed, Zhang Xiayan said softly, extending her hand and shaking Ye Xiaoyu's hand downstairs at Vanishing Stars. Empress, you're too polite. When our company was at its most difficult, you supported us like that. Now it's our turn to repay you, Ye Xiaoyu said with a smile. Where's Lin Feng? Yang Xiayan looked around, not seeing Lin Feng, and asked with a smile. Lin Feng is already waiting for you in the recording studio. Let's go up, Ye Xiaoyu said with a smile. Then, all trouble CEO Ye, Zhang Xiayan followed Ye Xiaoyu upstairs. All the employees of Vanishing Stars welcomed her enthusiastically, each wanting to take a photo with Zhang Xiayan and get an autograph. After all, an empress of this caliber is very rare to encounter. Yang Xiayan was very friendly and took photos with everyone. Afterward, Zhang Xiayan fell into Xiao Tong's clutches. Xiao Tong hugged and kissed Zhang Xiayan, not letting go. She took photo after photo, and finally even pulled out dozens of posters for Zhang Xiayan to sign, and not just sign, but also write a blessing on each one. It was fortunate that Zhang Xiayan was kind. Anyone else would have been driven crazy by Xiao Tong. I'm sorry, Sister Xiayan, this is my older female cousin. She likes you the most, so she's a bit out of control, Ye Xiaoyu quickly interjected from the side, pulling Xiao Tong's arm and saying, Sister Xiao Tong, don't go too far. It's fine, Xiaoyu, I'm honored that your cousin likes me so much, Zhang Xian said with a smile, then looked at Zhao Tong. By the way, your cousin has my contact information. If you ever want concert tickets, you can have your cousin call me, and I'll reserve a few for you. As soon as she said this, Zhao Tong screamed again, then hugged Zhang Xian and showered her with kisses. The segment, that should have ended in half an hour, was forcibly extended to an hour by Zhao Tong. I'm sorry, Lin Feng, I'm late. Zhang Xian quickly greeted Lin Feng when she arrived at the recording studio. Sister Xian, you're too polite. Can we record now? Lin Feng asked. Yes, I'll go and then I'll trouble you with the rest. Zhang Xian nodded, then took off her jacket and entered the recording studio. Inside, Zhang Xian gave Lin Feng an okay gesture. Lin Feng nodded and started the instrumental track. Zhang Xian wore headphones and swayed her head to the music. Lin Feng sat outside, wearing headphones and listening to the recording, while behind him stood Ye Xiaoyu, Ye Xiaoyu, Zhao Tong, and Zhang Xian's manager and assistant. The piano in the classroom, ding, dong, ding, dong, ding ling tilde. As soon as the intro ended, Zhang Xian began to sing, her voice very pleasant. However, Lin Feng decisively pressed the pause button and said softly into the microphone. Sister Xian, this song doesn't require you to hold back your voice. Release all of your voice. Don't think about using any techniques, just put emotion into it, Lin Feng said softly. Zhang Xian inside nodded. Okay, let's try again. No, Sister Xian, you haven't fully let go yet. Again. No, Sister Xian, this time you're being a bit deliberate. Don't think about anything right now, just follow the rhythm and sing. Again. This time is much better, but it's still not quite right. Lin Feng took off his headphones at this point and entered the recording studio. Ye Xiaoyu and Zhao Tong next to him were stunned. An hour had passed, and they still hadn't gotten past the first line. It's so hard to record a song, Zhao Tong thought to herself. He's even a bit handsome when he's serious about work, Ye Xiaoyu also thought to herself. Lin Feng entered the recording studio and talked with Zhang Xian for about half an hour. After half an hour, Lin Feng came out of the recording studio, and Zhang Xian, at this time, was once again wearing headphones and nodded at Lin Feng. Okay, let's do it again, Lin Feng said with a smile. To the music, Lin Feng looked at Zhang Xian very nervously. Zhang Xian's body swayed with the music. The organ in the classroom, ding dong ding ling. Like the sound of your confession, the movement is always quiet. When Zhang Xian's first line came out, Lin Feng excitedly gave Zhang Xian a thumbs up. That was it, the music continued, and Zhang Xian continued to sing. Smiling as I watched you deliver the letter and turned to leave. I like your clear handwriting of concern. Zhang Xian is truly Zhang Xian, a heavenly queen is a heavenly queen. At this moment, Zhang Xian's state became more and more perfect as she sang, and her voice became clearer and clearer. Lin Feng was captivated by her singing. This song doesn't require any skill, it's a song that relies purely on the voice. Zhang Xian's voice was showcased to its fullest through this song. After the first two lines, the rest was a one-take. No need for any pitch correction, no need for editing. Okay, that's a take, Lin Feng exclaimed excitedly when the last line was sung. Woohoo! Tilde the staff outside all applauded. When Zhang Xian came out, someone had already prepared flowers for her. Lin Feng played the song in its entirety, and everyone listened in a daze. Even Zhang Xian herself was stunned. Is this my voice? Zhang Xian asked, looking at Lin Feng in surprise. Of course it's your voice. Congratulations, Sister Xian. You performed this song perfectly. Thank you, Lin Feng. Zhang Xian excitedly gave Lin Feng a big hug. Ye Xiaoyu, standing nearby, was a little displeased, thinking, I'm still here, and you're just hugging him casually. All right, everyone has worked hard. It's getting late. Everyone should rest first. Ye Xiaoyu clapped his hands and said loudly. How about this? To thank everyone for accompanying me to record today, I'll treat everyone to lunch today. Whatever you want to eat, wherever you want to eat, it's fine, Zhang Xian also said with a smile. Great! Immediately, there was another burst of cheers. Ye Xiaotong was even more excited, clapping her small hands like a little penguin. Sister, are you coming along? Ye Xiaotong asked Ye Xiaoyu at this moment. You all go, I won't, Ye Xiaoyu said with a smile. Lin Feng, come along. Jiang Shayan smiled at Lin Feng. No need, I still have some things to do, thank you Sister Shayan, Lin Feng replied. Alright then, we'll arrange a private meeting next time, Jiang Shayan said with a smile, and then everyone, surrounding Jiang Shayan, went downstairs. Only Lin Feng and Ye Xiaoyu were left on the scene. The two looked at each other and both showed a slight smile. Ye Xiaoyu walked into the recording studio, and Lin Feng followed her. However, he found that there was actually a karaoke machine in the corner of the recording studio. Xiao Fan bought this. I heard that Xiao Fan would belt out a song in here when he had nothing to do, Lin Feng said with a smile. Ye Xiaoyu turned it on, and there were actually Lin Feng's songs inside. Ye Xiaoyu's mouth curved into a slight smile, and she then selected Always Quiet. Hearing the intro, Lin Feng was stunned and then looked at Ye Xiaoyu. President, he can actually sing my songs. I am truly honored. Are you making fun of me or praising yourself? Ye Xiaoyu turned her head and looked at Lin Feng, saying with a smile. How could I? I'm just a little overwhelmed, Lin Feng said with a smile. Xiao Tong plays your songs in the car every day, I've learned them just by listening, Ye Xiaoyu said, then turned her head to look at the lyrics on the screen. Although she knew the song, she was still a bit unfamiliar with the lyrics. Empty streetscape, want to find someone to pour out feelings to. Making this decision, loneliness is my neighbor. Our love, like the scenery you passed by. Always moving forward, but your footsteps never stopped for me. Ye Xiaoyu's voice was very pleasant, but after all, she wasn't a professional singer, and it was obvious she didn't sing often, so her voice was a bit shaky, and in some places, she even rushed the beat. However, it was still that same old saying, because Ye Xiaoyu's voice was very pleasant, Lin Feng also found it very comfortable to listen to. The love I gave you was always quiet. In exchange for the occasional concern you gave. It was clearly a movie for three. Yet, I could never have a name. After the chorus, Ye Xiaoyu turned her head, and her eyes met Lin Feng's. Ye Xiaoyu's cheeks instantly flushed, and she quickly turned her head away, her voice going off key again. After finishing the song, Ye Xiaoyu looked at Lin Feng proudly and asked, How did I sing? You sang wonderfully, it's a real shame you're not a big star, Lin Feng said with a smile, clapping his hands. To receive praise from a big star like you truly makes me feel overwhelmed, Ye Xiaoyu said with a smile, then selected another song. After selecting it, Ye Xiaoyu took out another microphone and handed it to Lin Feng, saying with a smile, Big star Lin, would you mind singing a song with me? It would truly be an honor to sing a duet with President Yi, Lin Feng said with a smile, then stood up, took the microphone Ye Xiaoyu handed him, and said with a smile. It's like we've met somewhere before, do you remember? It was like a spring day, and I had just sprouted. I walked by. Without looking back. I remember. I'm almost forgetting. The two people's singing voices now echoed from inside the recording studio, and the air seemed to hold something different. The two sang a song while slowly moving closer to each other. It feels like we've met somewhere before. When the last line was sung, the two stood face to face, looking at each other. The air at this moment carried a hint of ambiguity. Ye Xiaoyu slowly closed her eyes. Lin Feng's face slowly moved closer to Ye Xiaoyu. Just as the two were about to touch, Ye Xiaoyu suddenly opened her eyes, her face flushed red. And Lin Feng also quickly moved his face away. I've already sung 2 songs, shouldn't you, the big star, sing another one for me? Ye Xiaotong said softly, then turned around to look at the karaoke machine. At this moment, her face was as red as a tomato. She took a deep breath, then selected Sunny Day. Big star, your performance awaits, Ye Xiaoyu said with a smile. What do you want to eat when we go back? Lin Feng asked Ye Xiaoyu as he drove on the elevated highway. Stir-fried tomatoes and eggs, Ye Xiaoyu replied with a soft laugh, without a moment's hesitation. It seems President Yi has a special fondness for my stir-fried tomatoes and eggs, Lin Feng said with a smile. Just then, Lin Feng's phone rang. He looked at the caller ID and answered without hesitation. Hello Yu, is something wrong? Lin Feng asked. Come to Donghai First Hospital, a girl's voice came from the other end of the line. Hospital? Yu, what happened? Did something happen to you, or mom and dad? Hearing he needed to come to the hospital, Lin Feng's heart tightened, and he asked urgently. Just come to the hospital first, The girl on the other end hung up after saying that. Ye Xiaoyu could clearly see that Lin Feng's body was trembling after the girl hung up the phone. At this moment, Lin Feng fumbled to set up the navigation, but he was too nervous and couldn't get it to work, almost hitting the car in front. You focus on driving, I'll help you, Ye Xiaoyu said from the side, then entered Donghai First Hospital, into the car's navigation system. Okay, Lin Feng said softly, taking a deep breath. He then followed the navigation's guidance, exited the elevated highway, and drove towards the hospital. Who was that? Ye Xiaoyu asked after a while. Lin Yu, my younger sister, Lin Feng said softly. She's hospitalized? Ye Xiaoyu asked again. I don't know, she didn't elaborate, just told me to rush to the hospital first, Lin Feng said in a low voice, unconsciously speeding up a bit. The car quickly arrived at the hospital. Ye Xiaoyu then told Lin Feng to park. You go to Lin Yu first, I'll park the car for you, Ye Xiaoyu said, getting out of the passenger seat and moving to the driver's seat, speaking to Lin Feng. Lin Feng nodded, then called Lin Yu again. Ye Xiaoyu drove around, looking for a parking spot on the ground, but parking at the hospital was already very tight. Ye Xiaoyu searched for a while, but couldn't find anything. Finally, she found a spot, but it was snatched away by someone else, which infuriated Ye Xiaoyu. When had she ever suffered such an indignity? He immediately got out of the car and knocked on the door of the car next to her. Before long, a middle-aged Chinese letter rolled down his window. On his passenger seat was a box of milk and a bouquet of flowers, clearly indicating he was visiting a patient. Ye Xiaoyu, expressionless, took a stack of banknotes from her bag, threw them inside, and said haughtily, I want this parking spot. Go find another one. The middle-aged man was bewildered. Had he met a god of wealth? This young lady was so arrogant, but arrogant or not, she was a big spender. All right sis, I'm leaving now. Chinese letter wouldn't hesitate for a moment, as that would be disrespectful to the money. After parking the car, Ye Xiaoyu called Lin Feng. Hello, I've parked the car, where are you? Ye Xiaoyu asked. Third floor of the inpatient department, Lin Feng replied from the other end of the phone. Ye Xiaoyu asked for directions inside the hospital and arrived on the third floor of the inpatient department a while later. When Ye Xiaoyu reached the third floor, she saw Lin Feng curled up alone in a corner, with a woman standing in front of him. How is it? Ye Xiaoyu asked in a low voice as she approached Lin Feng. Who are you? The woman next to him asked Ye Xiaoyu. This is Lin Feng was about to say she was his friend, but Ye Xiaoyu interrupted him. Ye Xiaoyu extended her hand to the woman and said softly, You're Lin Yu, right? Hello, my name is Ye Xiaoyu. At this point, Ye Xiaoyu glanced at Lin Feng and then continued, I am Lin Feng's wife. You're his. Lin Yu looked at Lin Feng and then back at Ye Xiaoyu. Ye Xiaoyu was truly beautiful. Lin Yu couldn't understand how Lin Feng could have married such a gorgeous wife. What exactly happened? Ye Xiaoyu asked Lin Yu at this moment. It's Father Lin. He suddenly fainted this morning. Mother Lin called an ambulance, and he just came out of emergency resuscitation, Lin Yu said softly to Ye Xiaoyu. He's just been admitted, and the doctors are still running further tests. Lin Feng, why aren't you going in? Ye Xiaoyu asked Lin Feng. Father Lin gets angry as soon as he sees me. He just chased me out. Lin Feng's voice was a bit hoarse at this moment. How will you know your father's condition if you don't go in? Ye Xiaoyu continued. I won't go in, so he doesn't get even more upset seeing me, Lin Feng said in a low voice. After a while, the doctor finally came out, and behind the doctor, a woman with a face full of tears also followed. Doctor, how is he? Lin Feng and Lin Yu immediately went to the doctor and asked. Are you the patient's family? Please come to my office, the doctor said in a low voice. You go with the doctor. Lin Feng, you come with me, the woman said at this moment. Lin Feng wanted to say something, but Ye Xiaoyu stopped him. Don't worry, I'll go with Lin Yu, Ye Xiaoyu said, nodding at Lin Yu. In the fire escape, Lin Feng and the woman stood there. After a long time the woman finally spoke. How have you been these past years? All right, Lin Feng replied in a low voice. You know about Father Lin's condition. His health hasn't been very good these past years. I always tried to persuade him to go for check-ups, but you know his temper, the woman continued. I know, it's because I was a jerk. Father Lin didn't want to get check-ups because he was saving money for me. At that time the family was struggling. To gather money for you, we racked up a lot of debt. But thankfully, over the past year, someone has been sending money home every month. Although the sender's name isn't there, Mother Lin knows that all this money came from you. Then, Mother Lin, are all the family debts cleared? Lin Feng asked. They're all cleared, but there's one thing Mother Lin needs to ask you. Where did you get all this money? Mother Lin, I earned all of this. You and Father Lin can spend it without worry. Your son is successful now. It's good that you're successful. It's good that you're successful. Mother Lin, I'm sorry. I was a jerk back then and caused you and Father Lin so much suffering. Tears streamed uncontrollably from Lin Feng's eyes. It's all right. What parents would always blame their own child? Although Father Lin gets angry when he sees you, you don't know how many times he would stare at your old photos, lost in thought, the woman said with a slight smile. Don't worry, Mother Lin, Father Lin will definitely be fine. No matter how much money it takes, I will make sure Father Lin gets well. By the way, who is that young lady with you? Mother Lin asked at this moment. Mom, let's talk about this later. Let's go to the doctor first to check on Father's condition. Lin Feng didn't know how to introduce Ye Xiaoyu to his mother. Although Ye Xiaoyu introduced herself as his wife to Lin Yu, Ye Xiaoyu could say that, but he couldn't. Mother Lin also saw that Lin Feng didn't want to answer the question, so she nodded, and the two of them left the emergency passage and went to the doctor's office. Overall, your father currently has a tumor in his chest that is pressing on his heart and some blood vessels, which is why your father often feels chest tightness and sometimes even faints. When Lin Feng and Mother Lin arrived at the doctor's office, the doctor was introducing Father Lin's condition to Lin Yu and Ye Xiaoyu. Although this tumor won't be fatal in the short term, it's like an unstable time bomb. If the tumor ruptures, it will cause severe bleeding in the patient, and if blood enters the chest cavity, then even a god couldn't save him. Then, Director Zhao, can this tumor be surgically removed? Ye Xiaoyu asked at this moment. To be honest, if it were a normal tumor, we could try to surgically remove it, but truthfully, the patient's tumor has already exceeded 8 centimeters. In all my years as a doctor, I've never even heard of a tumor this large, let alone seen one. Moreover, this tumor is now so severely adhered to the blood vessels in the heart area and the chest cavity, making the surgery extremely difficult and the risk very high. To be honest, no one in our entire Donghai First Hospital dares to perform this surgery, Director Zhao said softly at this time. Unless, speaking to this point, Director Zhao paused, then glanced at Lin Feng and the others, and continued, I think, apart from Director Zhao of Donghai Third Hospital, no one has the skill, nor the courage to perform this surgery. Director Zhao? Are you referring to Director Zhao Tianming of the Cardiac Surgery Department at Donghai Third People's Hospital? Ye Xiaoyu asked at this moment. That's right, but Director Zhao hasn't performed surgery in a long time. He's in a semi-retired state now. Whether you can get him to operate depends on your luck. All right, I understand. Ye Xiaoyu nodded slightly and then said, Lin Feng, immediately complete the transfer procedures. We're going to Donghai Third Hospital. Your Lin Feng was a little confused. Didn't they say that only Director Zhao of Donghai Third Hospital dares to perform this surgery? I'm going to contact Director Zhao now and ask him to do it. All right, I'll go do it immediately, Lin Feng said excitedly, nodding. With Ye Xiaotong's status in Madu, her willingness to invite Director Zhao would be much more effective than his own efforts. Before long, the transfer procedures were completed. Lin Yu and Mother Lin both got into the ambulance, while Lin Feng drove Ye Xiaoyu and also rushed towards Donghai Third Hospital. Hello, Xiaotong. Please help me contact the Vice President of Donghai Third Hospital. Yes, I have an urgent matter to discuss with her. Ye Xiaoyu began to dial Ye Xiaotong's number in the car. Hello, is this President Jiang? Hello, I'm Ye Xiaoyu. My assistant should have contacted you just now, right? I'm sorry, President Jiang, I have an elder in my family with a coronary tumor. Yes, it's already reached 8 centimeters. Director Zhao of the first hospital told us that throughout Madu, only Director Zhao of the third hospital has the ability to perform this surgery, so I'd like to ask for your help in contacting Director Zhao. Ma'am, all right. The ambulance from the first hospital has been on its way for about 20 minutes. Yes, it should be arriving very soon. All right, thank you for your trouble. After Ye Xiaoyu finished speaking, she hung up the phone. President Jiang has already called Director Zhao of Cardiac Surgery. Also, Director Lai of Cardiology will come over to conduct a joint consultation for your father, Ye Xiaoyu said softly to Lin Feng after hanging up the phone. Thank you, President Yi, Lin Feng said gratefully. Seeing Lin Feng's worried face, Ye Xiaoyu patted Lin Feng's arm and said softly, "Don't worry, everything will be fine." By the time Ye Xiaoyu and Lin Feng arrived at the hospital, someone was already waiting for them. "Hello, are you President Ye Xiaoyu?" Seeing Ye Xiaoyu get out of the car, the doctor quickly walked forward a few steps and asked. "It's me," Ye Xiaoyu nodded. "Hello, I'm Lin Nan from cardiology. President Jiang asked me to wait for you here." "Hello, thank you for your trouble, Director Lai." Ye Xiaoyu politely shook hands with Lin Nan. Someone nearby had already driven Lin Feng's car away to find a parking spot, while Lin Nan then led Ye Xiaoyu and Lin Feng towards the emergency room. "Director Lai, how is my father?" Lin Feng asked anxiously. "We have already reviewed your father's medical records. President Jiang and Director Zhao of cardiac surgery have also arrived. Now everything depends on the ultrasound and results," Director Lai replied. Following Director Lai and looking at Ye Xiaoyu, Lin Feng couldn't help but think to himself, it's a good thing Ye Xiaoyu was willing to help. Throughout Madu, even hospitals had to give Ye Xiaoyu enough face. Thump, thump, thump. Arriving at the conference room, Director Lai gently knocked on the door. "Please come in." A voice came from inside, and then Director Lai led Ye Xiaoyu and Lin Feng in. President Yi and her party have arrived." Director Lai quickly walked forward and said to a woman of about 50 years old. "All right, thank you for your trouble." President Jiang nodded. After shaking hands, both parties sat down and began a joint consultation for Father Lin's surgery. The patient has a coronary tumor. From the CT scan from the first hospital, it appears to be about 8 centimeters. Also, its location is not very good, making the surgery very difficult. A male doctor, about the same age as President Jiang, said softly beside President Jiang. "Then, Director Zhao, can this surgery be performed?" Lin Feng asked anxiously. "The difficulty of this surgery is extremely high, and the risk is enormous, because the human heart is very fragile. This coronary tumor is now severely adhered to the outer membrane of the heart. Even the slightest oversight could be fatal to the patient." Director Zhao looked at Lin Feng as he said this, then continued, "So, you must be aware of the risks of this surgery." But Director Zhao of the first hospital also said that this coronary tumor is at risk of rupturing at any time, and if it ruptures, the consequences would be unimaginable. Lin Feng said softly, "Since we have come to the hospital, we will follow the doctor's arrangements for everything. We will proceed with this surgery." With that, Lin Feng stood up and bowed deeply to everyone, saying sincerely, "I trouble everyone with my father. Don't worry, since President Yi has come personally, we will definitely do our best," President Jiang said with a smile. Soon, Father Lin's examination results came out, and Father Lin was admitted to the VT room, all thanks to Ye Xiaoyu. This moment, Father Lin was asleep, and only then did Lin Feng dare to enter the ward to see him. After only a few years of not seeing him, his father's face looked even older. Watching his peaceful face, Lin Feng's tears fell uncontrollably. Finally, Lin Feng knelt down and kowtowed several times. "You should leave first. If Dad wakes up and sees you here, he'll get angry again," Lin Yu said to Lin Feng expressionlessly at this moment. "Don't worry, Xiaoyu and I are here. You can rest assured. You can come see him when your father is safely discharged from the hospital," Mother Lin also said softly at this moment. "Then Mom, please take good care of Dad. You also need to take care of yourself." Lin Feng wiped away the tears from the corner of his eyes, then took out a card from his pocket, placed it on the bedside table, and said softly, "There's still some money in this card, please keep it. The password is Dad's birthday." With that he left the ward. Mother Lin then took the card and walked out, saying to Lin Feng, "Son, I can't take your money. It's not easy for you alone." As she spoke, she was about to return the card to Lin Feng. "Don't worry, Mom, I'm living very well now, extremely well. When Dad is discharged, I will compensate you well and let you enjoy life," Lin Feng said with a smile to Mother Lin. "Don't worry, Auntie, Lin Feng is a big shot now. He can earn several million with just one song, so please accept it with peace of mind. I've also spoken to Director Lai and Director Zhao. If you have any problems, you can go directly to them." Ye Xiaoyu took the card at this moment, reinserted it into Mother Lin's hand, and looked at Mother Lin, saying, "I don't know what kind of person Lin Feng used to be, but the Lin Feng I know now is truly a very good person." By the time Lin Feng and Ye Xiaoyu left the hospital, it was already past 4 in the afternoon. "Theo, thank you," Lin Feng said once again. You've said thank you to me too many times today. My ears are getting calloused from hearing it, Ye Xiaoyu said with a smile. However, if you want to thank me, then please treat me to something to eat. What do you want to eat? I'll make it for you when we get back, Lin Feng asked. How could you be in the mood to cook for me right now? Besides, cooking also depends on your mood. Food cooked with a good mood will taste delicious, but food cooked with a bad mood will have a bitter taste, Ye Xiaoyu said with a smile. Let's eat out. I'll choose the place and you pay. I happen to know a good spot. Before long, the car slowly pulled over to the side of the road. Afterward, Lin Feng and Ye Xiaoyu got out of the car together and took a seat at a bustling barbecue stall not far away. The good place you mentioned, is it really here? Lin Feng looked around with a puzzled expression at the slightly noisy and smoky environment, then turned to Ye Xiaoyu and asked. That's right, what's wrong? Ye Xiaoyu responded with a light laugh, while casually picking up a bottle of iced beer, skillfully prying off the cap with an opener, and handing it to Lin Feng. Lin Feng paused slightly and did not reach for the beer, but gently pushed it back towards Ye Xiaoyu, saying softly, to be honest, I really didn't expect that someone of Xiaoyu's noble status and elegant demeanor would also be fond of this kind of street food. Hearing this, Ye Xiaoyu first froze then giggled. She picked up a clean disposable cup, filled it with golden beer frothing with white foam, then took a small sip before beginning to recount a past event. Actually, I wasn't really interested in this kind of food before, but once, Xiao Tong and I were returning from a business trip out of town, and the car suddenly broke down halfway. At that time we were both so hungry, we had no choice but to find a place nearby to fill our stomachs. And just like that, we found this barbecue stall. Initially, we just thought we'd grab a quick bite, but after tasting it, we were surprisingly impressed by how good it was. Since then, whenever I'm in a bad mood or under a lot of stress, I come here to order a few delicious skewers and have a couple of refreshing beers, and all my worries just disappear. After speaking, Ye Xiaoyu raised her glass and drank it all in one gulp. Are you really not drinking? Ye Xiaotong asked, looking at Lin Feng. One of us has to drive, right? Lin Feng said, feeling a bit speechless. Then, I won't be polite. With that, Ye Xiaoyu drained the beer in her glass in one gulp. I once saw a news report about a rich second-generation heir who ate at a roadside stall and was photographed by reporters, which immediately put him on the trending topics. I was curious, why can't rich people eat at these roadside stalls? It's as if all rich people must eat sea cucumber and a ballon every day, focusing on health and wellness. Ye Xiaoyu was truly hungry, having skipped lunch. As soon as the skewers arrived, Ye Xiaoyu didn't hesitate, immediately grabbing a handful of iron skewers and digging in. This image, who would have known that this was the most legendary female CEO in all of Madu, and even all of Huaxia? Ye Xiaoyu was having a great time eating, but Lin Feng had no appetite at all. Of course, after such an incident, who would have an appetite? Ye Xiaoyu's keen eyes caught the subtle change in Lin Feng's expression. He understood, gently put down the skewer in her hand, and then softly said to Lin Feng, Don't worry, this afternoon, I specifically arranged for Xiao Tong to investigate Director Zhao. While not investigating, I didn't know, but once I investigated, it was truly astonishing. Director Zhao's technical skill is absolutely top-notch and outstanding in our entire Madu and even nation-wide. At this point, Ye Xiaoyu paused and continued, So, you can completely rest assured in trusting your father's treatment to him. Your most important task now is to fill your stomach so you'll have the energy to face everything that comes next. After speaking, Ye Xiaoyu picked up a grilled chicken wing from the plate and handed it to Lin Feng, saying, Come, please try my favorite spicy chicken wings. Lin Feng was still immersed in worry about his father's condition when he was suddenly interrupted by the chicken wing Ye Xiaoyu handed him. He first paused slightly, looking at the intensely spicy chicken wing in front of him with some surprise, his mind still replaying Ye Xiaoyu's words. Finally, he slowly reached out and took the spicy chicken wing from Ye Xiaoyu's hand. However, when Lin Feng took his first bite, a strong spicy flavor instantly exploded in his mouth. Wow, it's so spicy! He couldn't help but exclaim, his entire face instantly turning red, and fine beads of sweat appearing on his forehead. Seeing Lin Feng in such a spicy state, Ye Xiaoyu couldn't help but burst out laughing. How is it? These are my favorite spicy chicken wings, pretty intense, right? As Ye Xiaoyu spoke, she handed over the freshly opened iced beer in her hand, wanting to help Lin Feng relieve the spiciness. However, Lin Feng shook his head and waved his hand, indicating refusal. Then he quickly grabbed a bottle of ice-cold Sprite from a nearby stall, twisted off the cap without a word, and tilted his head back, chugging several big gulps. The cool and refreshing Sprite slid down his throat into his stomach, finally somewhat alleviating the fiery spiciness in his mouth. Watching Ye Xiaoyu laugh uncontrollably, Lin Feng also smiled slightly and softly said to Ye Xiaoyu, "Xiaoyu, no Xiaoyu, thank you." When Ye Xiaoyu heard Lin Feng call her Xiaoyu, she froze for a moment, then smiled sweetly at Lin Feng. "It's nothing." In the VP hospital room, Father Lin seemed to be asleep, his mouth slightly agape, and a faint snore escaping from his nose and mouth. Lin Feng was sitting by his bed, gently massaging Father Lin's legs with both hands. Father Lin's legs were thick, and the soles of his feet were calloused. Lin Feng's forehead was already covered in sweat, and his breathing was somewhat labored, indicating he had been massaging for a long time. However, Lin Feng showed no intention of resting. A slight smile played on his lips as he concentrated entirely on massaging his father. Another 20 minutes passed before Lin Feng carefully lowered Father Lin's legs and tucked him in. His movements were very light, as if he was afraid of waking Father Lin. After all this was done, estimating that his father should be winning by now, Lin Feng gestured to Mother Lin, indicating that he was leaving first. With that, he tiptoed out of the ward. Not long after, Mother Lin also came out. "Lin Feng, you don't really need to come every day. I can stay here with him," Mother Lin said softly as she approached Lin Feng. "It's fine, I don't have much to do these days anyway," Lin Feng said with a smile. "All right, then drive carefully on your way," Mother Lin said to Lin Feng with a gentle nod and a smile, genuinely feeling that her eldest son had changed from before. "Okay, Mom, you should also pay attention to your rest. If it's really too much, you should hire a caregiver. It doesn't cost much," Lin Feng said to Mother Lin with concern. "Don't worry, Mom. Director Zhao and Director Lai come every day to check on your father's condition, and his situation has been quite stable these past few days," Mother Lin said with a smile, then changed the subject, continuing, "Besides, you don't know your dad. He just doesn't like other people waiting on him." After exchanging a few more words with his mother, Lin Feng left the hospital ward floor. Mother Lin watched Lin Feng enter the elevator before turning to go back into the ward. Sitting by the bed, Mother Lin looked at Father Lin, who was still napping, and softly said, "All right, our son has left. You don't need to pretend to be asleep anymore." As soon as Mother Lin finished speaking, the snoring stopped. Father Lin opened his eyes and struggled to sit up. "Mother," Lin quickly cranked up the bed, and then helped him sit upright. Placing his hand on the small panel, Father Lin looked at Mother Lin and asked, "How did you know I was pretending to be asleep?" "We've been married for so many years, don't I know what you're like? In all these years of marriage, when have you ever snored when you sleep?" Mother Lin said with a smile. "Isn't this just so your son has a good opportunity to come and see you?" "Each that brat. He doesn't put any strength into his massage. Several times I almost couldn't help but tell him to press harder. As a man, how can he survive in this society with strength like a woman?" Father Lin said softly. Mother Lin's face was full of smiles as she looked at Father Lin. "Oh, come on, you know your son is a big star now. I heard Lin Yu say that he sells a song for tens of millions now," Mother Lin said with a smile. "Lin Yu played one for me yesterday, and I think it's quite good. Lin Yu taught me how to operate it yesterday. Do you want me to play it for you?" "I'm not listening. What good song could he sing?" "I'm not listening. It's just annoying," Father Lin said stubbornly. "You just can't help but be harsh with your words," Mother Lin said, shaking her head with a smile, then opened her phone and, following Lin Yu's instructions, played Lin Feng's song Blue and White Porcelain. The beautiful melody instantly resonated throughout the entire ward. Father Lin outwardly pretended not to care, but his ears were actually listening intently. That brat, this song is indeed good," Father Lin said, nodding inwardly after listening to half of it. "Speak up, I can't hear clearly," Father Lin said casually. Mother Lin's smile grew wider, and she turned the volume to maximum. "Hello, Rounds." Just then, a nurse's voice sounded from outside and the door opened. A female nurse about 23 or 24 years old walked in. Mother Lin immediately lowered the phone's volume a bit. "Uncle Lin, how are you feeling today? Are you experiencing any difficulty breathing or dizziness?" the young nurse asked while recording the data from the instruments placed on the table next to Father Lin. No thank you, nurse, Father Lin said with a smile. Uncle Lin, you and Aunt Lin are quite trendy. You even listen to Lin Feng's songs, the nurse said immediately when she heard Lin Feng's blue and white porcelain playing on Mother Lin's phone. You know who sings this? Father Lin asked with some curiosity. Of course, he's the hottest singer right now. Sigh tilde, I wish I could take a photo with him and get an autograph, the female nurse thought innocently. Oh, I'm sorry, Uncle Lin, Aunt Lin, I've made you laugh. I'll be going now, the nurse said, then left Father Lin's ward. This brat is good, even the nurse knows him, Father Lin said to Mother Lin at this moment. Didn't I tell you? Your son is a very famous big star now, Mother Lin said with a smile. Why did it stop? Play it again, play it again. At this moment, blue and white porcelain had finished playing. Father Lin quickly urged Mother Lin to play it again. Don't rush. I'm not very familiar with using it yet, Mother Lin said while fiddling with her phone. Give me the phone, I'll do it myself, Father Lin said, then snatched Mother Lin's phone. Blue and white porcelain is a pretty good name, Father Lin said with a smile, then played it again. Seeing the comments below, Father Lin curiously clicked to take a look. Blue and white porcelain is the goat. I feel uncomfortable if I don't listen to it at least once a day. I don't know how many times I've listened to it, and every time it's still so good. I just ask, besides Lin Feng Dada's songs, who else is so consistently good? When is Lin Feng Dada holding a concert? I will definitely be there to support him. Lin Feng Dada holding a concert, I can't even imagine how explosive the scene will be. I don't expect a concert this year, Lin Feng Dada, please release more new songs. Ever since I listened to Lin Feng Dada's songs, listening to other songs truly feels a bit bland. Oh ho, this brat isn't bad. Come look, all the comments under this song are praising him. Father Lin saw all the comments praising Lin Feng and was happy himself, quickly handing the phone to Mother Lin to see. Mother Lin watched all this with a smile. At this moment, she knew that the rift in the hearts of the father and son was slowly beginning to mend. In the following days, Lin Feng would quietly come to the ward every time after Father Lin fell asleep. Sometimes he would give him a massage, and other times he would just happily watch his father. For 1 hour every day, Lin Feng was afraid that if he stayed too long, his father would wake up and be angry at seeing him. All right, stop pretending, Lin Feng has left. Every time after Lin Feng left, Mother Lin would wake up the feigning Father Lin and say helplessly. A week passed in the blink of an eye, and Father Lin's condition during his observation period in the hospital was quite good. Today was the day of Father Lin's surgery. Father Lin's surgery was scheduled as the second one in the morning, personally performed by Director Zhao. Lin Feng arrived outside Father Lin's ward early that day, not daring to enter and only watching from a distance. Father Lin had already changed into his surgical gown and was sitting on the hospital bed, waiting for the operation. Lin Yu and Mother Lin were by his side. Old man, Lin Feng is outside, aren't you going to see him? Mother Lin said softly to Father Lin at this moment. Lin Feng came too, Father Lin asked Mother Lin. Brother knew you were having surgery today, so he came before dawn. He just didn't dare to come in because he was afraid you'd be angry, so he's been waiting outside your ward, Lin Yu also said softly to Father Lin. Sigh, forget it. I don't know if I can get through this hurdle today. Maybe this is the last time we'll see each other. Compared to Lin Yu and Mother Lin's nervous expressions, Father Lin seemed very at ease. Old man, what nonsense are you spouting? Your surgery will definitely be successful, Mother Lin said very sternly to Father Lin at this moment. That's right, Director Zhao's skills are among the best in the entire Magic City, even the whole country, Lin Yu also said. I'll let brother in right now. When you see your son later, don't get angry, have a good chat. Mother Lin gently patted Father Lin's arm and said softly. After a while, Lin Yu led Lin Feng in. Dad, brother is here, Lin Yu said to Father Lin. You and your mother go out first, Father Lin said to Lin Yu and Mother Lin at this moment. Okay, Mother Lin nodded, and then took Lin Yu out. Oh right, go find Nurse Fang Jing, if she's not busy please ask her to come here. After Mother Lin and Lin Yu reached the door, Father Lin spoke again. Dad, Lin Feng came to Father Lin's bedside and called out softly. What, still so reserved with your old man? Sit down, Father Lin said to Lin Feng. Okay, Dad. Lin Feng was clearly a bit emotional, pacing around the ward for a while, before finally sitting down. You rascal, I heard you've been doing well this past year. They say you've become a big pop star. One song can sell for tens of millions. Father Lin looked at Lin Feng and said with a smile. Yes, yes. So Dad, now your son has made something of himself. After you're discharged this time, I'll bring you mom and sister over. I'll buy you a house in Magic City and let you enjoy a life of leisure. Lin Feng said excitedly. I say boy, do you think your old man, am fawning over you today because I see you're making money? Father Lin didn't continue Lin Feng's words, but instead asked Lin Feng. How could that be? A father is a father. I believe no matter what I become in the future, the first people to appear before me will always be my family, Lin Feng said with a smile. Lin Feng, you've really grown up. This way I have no more worries. If this time I really something happens. Dad, what nonsense are you talking about? You'll definitely live a long life. Lin Feng interrupted Father Lin before he could finish his sentence. Oh, you rascal, you're quite something. You've even learned to interrupt your old man when he's talking. Seeing Lin Feng suddenly stand up, Father Lin couldn't help but laugh. Then, seeing Lin Feng's serious face, Father Lin changed the subject. Oh right, you're a big star now, let me ask you. Aunt Lin, does Uncle Lin need me for something? Outside, Father Lin's ward nurse, Fang Jing, asked Mother Lin at this moment. You'll know when you go in, Mother Lin said softly to Fang Jing. I've seen online that these young people who chase celebrities are all very crazy. Things like stalking and candid photos are commonplace. Is that true or false? That's a bit exaggerated, but some fans are a bit crazy, so I always wear a hat and a mask when I go out. Uncle Lin, do you feel uncomfortable anywhere? At this moment, Nurse Fang walked in and asked Father Lin. This is Nurse Fang. I owe her a lot for taking care of me during my stay here. Seeing Nurse Fang Jing come in, Father Lin smiled and introduced her to Lin Feng. Lin Feng turned his head, smiled slightly at Nurse Fang Jing, extended his hand, and said softly, You're Nurse Fang Jing, right? Thank you for taking care of my father these past few days. Fang Jing froze the moment she saw Lin Feng. She wanted to scream, but realizing she was in a hospital room, she immediately covered her mouth with both hands. Lin Feng? Fang Jing's voice trembled slightly, and she immediately rushed over and hugged Lin Feng, her body trembling uncontrollably. Uncle Lin Feng is your son? Fang Jing hugged Lin Feng for over a minute before letting go. Yes, didn't you say you wanted to meet your idol? I told this boy to come over, Father Lin said with a smile. Afterward, at Father Lin's request, Lin Feng took a photo with Nurse Fang Jing and even signed an autograph for Fang Jing. Signing autographs and taking photos at a time like this, what is Dad thinking? Lin Yu muttered softly from the side. Your dad promised Nurse Fang that he would definitely let her meet Lin Feng. Now that the surgery is happening, your dad is afraid he won't have a chance to fulfill that promise later, Mother Lin said softly from the side. Is Lin Yu in here? Time to go to the operating room. At this moment, the vehicle to take Father Lin to the operating room arrived. Nurse, I don't need a car, I can walk there myself. Father Lin got off the hospital bed and said with a smile to the nurse who came to pick him up. Then Father Lin smiled at Lin Feng and said, Boy, how about you walk with your old man? Okay, Lin Feng said softly. Immediately, a scene like this appeared in the hospital. Lin Feng supported Father Lin as they walked in front. The vehicle for Father Lin followed behind them, and Mother Lin and Lin Yu followed at the very end of the procession. Dad, Mom, sister, and I will wait here for you to come out, Lin Feng said softly to Father Lin. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Father Lin smiled at Lin Feng and then walked into the operating room alone. Oh right. Just as he was about to enter the operating room door, Father Lin turned his head and said to Lin Feng, Boy, I listened to a few of your songs and didn't like them much. When I'm discharged, you'll have to write a few that I like. Okay, when you're discharged, I'll write a few that you like, Lin Feng said softly to Father Lin. Time passed by second, and each second felt infinitely stretched for Lin Feng and his family. The atmosphere outside the operating room was exceptionally heavy as Lin Feng, his mother, and his younger sister waited silently. Their gazes frequently turned towards the door, silently praying for everything to go smoothly. Although Lin Feng tried hard to remain calm, his slightly trembling body betrayed his inner tension. When he noticed Mother Lin's face, pale as paper and devoid of color, Lin Feng took a deep breath, slowly walked over, and tightly held Mother Lin's cold and slightly trembling hands. He said in a firm and powerful voice, Don't worry, Mom, Father will definitely be fine. This sentence was both an encouragement to Mother Lin and a way for him to inject courage and confidence into himself. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Every minute felt so long as if a century had passed. Finally, after an agonizing wait, 6 hours passed, and the tightly closed operating room door slowly opened. Lin Feng and the others instantly rushed forward, like arrows released from a bow, surrounding Director Zhao, who had just walked out of the operating room. Their faces were filled with anxiety and eagerness, and they asked in unison, "Director Zhao, how is my father's condition exactly?" Director Zhao's gaze swept over Lin Feng and the others in turn, then he slowly took off his mask, revealing a relieved smile, and gently said to Lin Feng, "Don't worry, the surgery was a great success." At this moment, Lin Feng felt that these simple 4 words were like the sound of nature, undoubtedly the most beautiful and pleasant words he had ever heard in his life. His heart, which had been hanging high, finally returned to its place, but at the same time, his entire being felt as if all strength had suddenly been drained from him, his legs weak, almost unable to stand steadily. Lin Feng exhaled deeply, as if to release all the worries that had accumulated in his heart during this time. Immediately after, he turned to look at his younger sister, Lin Yu, motioning for her to help Mother Lin sit down and rest. Then Lin Feng looked at Director Zhao again, his eyes filled with excited tears, and he said softly, his voice slightly trembling, "Thank you, Director Zhao. I am truly grateful to you." Lin Feng felt as if something was caught in his throat, and his voice was a bit hoarse. Perhaps it was because he was too emotional, and he didn't know what to say. "It's nothing, it's what we should do. To be honest, if you hadn't trusted us so much, we wouldn't have been able to work so freely." Director Zhao said to Lin Feng at this time, thank you for your unreserved trust in us doctors. The patient needs to be sent to the ICU now, you all should go back first. But you can rest assured that although coronary aneurysm surgery is very difficult, the post-operative recovery is very fast, and your father's body is still quite good, he should be able to transfer to a regular ward in about 3 or 4 days. After Director Zhao finished speaking, he returned to the operating room. There are dedicated ward nurses in the ICU, so Lin Feng and the others cannot enter. There is only half an hour of visiting time each day. "Xiao Feng, you go back to your work first, I can handle things here," Mother Lin said to Lin Feng at this time, also breathing a sigh of relief after Father Lin's successful surgery. "Okay then, I'll trouble you, Mom." Lin Feng nodded. "Brother, I'll see you off," Lin Yu said to Lin Feng at this time. On the small path of the hospital, Lin Feng and Lin Yu walked side by side, neither of them speaking. This was the first time they had been alone together in years. "By the way, you'll be taking the college entrance exam in a few months, right?" "Yes," Lin Yu nodded. "Have you decided which university you want to apply to?" "Brother, you don't even know my grades, how do you know I can get into university?" Lin Yu looked at Lin Feng and asked. "Actually, I've been to your school several times over the years, and I've asked others about your situation, so I know your grades have always been among the top in the whole school," Lin Feng said softly. "You've been to our school? Why didn't I know?" Lin Yu asked curiously. "I didn't dare let you know because with a brother like me, if your classmates found out, they would definitely ridicule you." Lin Feng exhaled deeply and said, "Actually, deep down, I didn't want to acknowledge you as my brother either. After all, the things you used to do were really..." At this point, Lin Yu glanced at Lin Feng and then smiled. "But it's different now, brother. You've changed completely, you're not like before, and most importantly, my brother is a big star now and I, as his sister, also have face. You don't know now, all the classmates in our class, both boys and girls, are crazy about you. One of our classmates has your autographed photo and she's showing off in class like she's a big shot. If they knew you were my brother, my real brother, I'd probably become the coolest kid in the whole school." Lin Yu laughed happily. "Oh Tilda, my vain girlish heart, it's going to be well satisfied now." As she spoke, she pulled Lin Feng and took several photos, some of herself kissing Lin Feng's cheek, and some of Lin Feng kissing her cheek. And also herself rubbing Lin Feng's neck. "All right, settle down, study hard these days, strive to get into a good university." Lin Feng rubbed Lin Yu's hair and said with a smile. "Don't worry, I already have a university in mind, which is Madu University of Finance, and with my grades, it's a sure thing," Lin Yu said, then posted the photos she just took with Lin Feng to her WeChat moments. "By the way, brother, was that pretty older sister really your wife?" As if remembering something, Lin Yu asked Lin Feng at this time. He was just joking with you, we're just friends, Lin Feng said with a smile.